Hi guys! Welcome to my channel, Dimokre Chronicles, a YouTube channel about my fantasy romance novel series that has the same name. And today we will be going over how I painted my lovely dressers and my shelf, which I'm hoping will be next week. So let's do that. Disclaimer, I do want to say that this footage was created a while ago, like a really long time. So I did have fun and I did learn a lot, but the lighting and the video quality might not be the greatest. Over the course of more time than I care to admit, I redid my bedroom setup, which included giving some of my furniture a much needed makeover. I repainted my desk, my shelf that goes on my desk, and I also built that shelf. Not to brag. And my two dressers. This video is all about my dressers, but we will get to my shelf in a later video. Hopefully next week. I need to finish the other end of the shelf, so that's why we're waiting instead of putting it all in one video. The sides and the tops used to be a dark blue, and then the dressers were with a white background and splattered with blue. I like blue, but blue is not my favorite color, especially that shade of blue. So my dad had been sanding everything down and painting for me to do like the fun part eventually. So in the summer of 2012, my pen pal to visit her family and friends, and I just so happened to be one of those friends. So we decided to give my furniture a makeover. So we got to work with old rags, splattering random shapes. The colors matched my bedspread and it covered up the old paint job that was chipping away. And around a decade later, I decided to give my dressers a makeover once again, which is what this video is about. It makes me sad to cover up what my pen pal and I did, but I'll always have the memories. The white drawers are pretty much all you see, especially when I have stuff on top of the dressers. When it's sturdy, the white really shows everything. Everything. Plus, I no longer have the bedspread that inspired the colors, so I decided to repaint them with my book series in mind. This time, the drawers themselves are going to have the cool illustration on it, so that way they'll be interesting and not the boring part. Everything else will be painted black. And I ended up painting a pattern on the sides of the dressers as well. I will say that one thing I wish I did was to do this outside, either in a garage or just outside in general. Sanding created dust, and the paint and polyurethane to glaze everything caused very delightful chemical smells. I could have avoided having to endure that while sleeping if I had just not done this in my room. But as you'll see later when I'm outside glazing them with a fixative, it was really cold outside. So that was not an option during this time. Oh, look at me, so full of hope and excitement about what's to come. Okay, so here is the plan for the short dresser. I ended up not doing a well or a fairy. I don't know why. I guess I just wasn't feeling it. So there it is currently. Then I sanded it over. You are welcome for muting this part, because good lord. And there it is with all of the drawers pulled out. And then I started cutting the edges with the black paint. And then I finished painting everything black.
It's so hard to tell if it's glare or if it's white that hasn't been painted yet. I hate it. Also, it's so pretty! Ah.
So there it is, and all of its second coat and polyurethane glory. I painted the tops, the sides, and the knobs of the dresser drawers black, and then I kind of smeared whatever was left on it to help my acrylic paint stick on. And then I just painted everything blue, all the background blue, painted the grass. This footage is a little bit out of order, but you get the gist. I tried my best. The pink bird is not a flamingo, it is a flufoid spirit from my book series. And then I'm just painting all the mushrooms. I ended up not liking that blue teal mint mushroom. I changed it to be a glowing red with like a purplish gradient. And there is the side of the dresser with flufoid feathers. Next, we're going to do the tall dresser, and then I cut it just like before, and then I painted it black with not one, but at least 2 coats of black paint. And I also gave it a good 2 or 3 coats of polyurethane to protect the paint from getting chipped and stuff, because it is used daily. Oh, that's so satisfying. So there it is, all finished in its beautiful second coat glory. I did the same with the drawers. I painted the knobs, the tops, and the sides. And then I sketched out my plan. I did this on the short dresser as well, but I didn't record it. So that is the Huntress's castle, and then I'm now drawing a tree for my cat OC to sit on. What does that say? I think this is a bad cloud. And then I'm drawing more of Clara the tree, and then that is a firefly. I wanted to give myself a little reminder to paint more fireflies around the drawer. That is the Spirit Guidebook, which will probably be the 7th book in my series. Then I am just painting everything blue. Yeah, so then I'm just blocking in all of the dark spots, like the castle, the tree, and the sky, just giving them a good base to color on. The castle specifically is literally black, so that will be more than just a base. Then I'm carefully painting around the doorknobs. I didn't really care if I got paint on the sides of the knobs, because the doorknobs are kind of like flared out at the top, so you don't really see the sides. I really wanted the sky to be more interesting to look at, so I kind of did a gradient, sure, but I also mixed in like just streaks of color, so that way it wasn't just continuously blue. And also it helps to hide any mistakes. Then I'm finally painting Scarlet, yay! She has red eyes and black fur, very cute, and I love her. And then just adding a little bit of gray and white for highlights, so you don't completely lose her form in just a silhouette of black. I added the whiskers in white. Don't worry, the face gets a lot better by the end of this. Yeah, so I start shading the face, It helps that the black base was still a little wet during this part. And I'm just adding the highlights and eyelids, and then I'm highlighting her fur a little bit more now that the paint has dried. And then it's time to paint the tree branch. I had a lot of fun with the brush strokes for the tree, making it look a little bit extra bark-like. And now it's time for the bottom part. So, well, the top is drying anyway. So I'm painting the fox, giving that a good base. I decided that it was a little too neon and bright for what I wanted. I didn't want a literal fire fox, I just wanted a fox here, so. Now I'm working on the sky a little bit more. Again, adding some streaks of color. I did want it to be lighter towards the bottom, but not that much lighter. And obviously I know that you wouldn't see sky this close to the ground, but I kind of wanted to have like a perfectly horizontal eye level with every single subject matter, so that's why the sky is so prominent. Then I'm adding some more detail to Clara. Yeah, and I really had fun with the brush strokes, trying to make it look as barky as possible. And again, painting around that knob. And then adding highlights to the branch, just the tree in general. Really having fun with that knot in the wood. And then I'm working on the eye now. Since she's a tree, I didn't want her to have like the whites in her eyes. It was just going to be like a light brown. And then I'm working on the iris. I really wanted it to be green, but not glowing green. I didn't want her to look scary, so tried to do kind eyes anyway. And then I'm working on her foliage. I added some yellows and greens to kind of make it more interesting and give it some highlights. And then I'm working on the grass. So I'm really trying to make the blades as smooth and grass-like as possible. So I'm doing long, thin strokes, really trying to get rid of as much of the paint texture as possible. Then I am painting over the bright neon red of the fox. I decided that I didn't like it, so I'm covering it with a dullish orange brown. I really had fun. I don't know if you can tell, but I really had fun shading the hind leg. The face looks so kooky to me. I do beef it up, but it does take a minute. Yay, I'm finally giving the fox a chest. Okay, I'm painting the ears and the face. to make the nostril pop. And then we're just adding the eyes and the nose. And then it's time for the fireflies. Oh, but apparently you only get to see one. And then I'm adding the ground spirit that the fox accidentally stepped on. And so now the ground spirit is super angry and frustrated. So he just suddenly stood up and the fox is like, ah! So yeah, just adding the ground spirit's beak. I had so much fun with the ground texture, and it's almost ostrich-like legs. Yeah, and then I'm just working on the fireflies a little bit more, and then I just added some glow on the tree. Okay, now it's time to work on the book. So I'm painting in the gems first just to give them a little bit of a base, and then I decided to record some of the mushrooms and then work on the book off camera and then on camera. I'm so good at recording. And then I'm just adding the base colors for the nut lock and the leather strap, and working a little bit on the shady tree. And then I'm working on the leaves for the cover. I'm not really sure why I did the background last after I blocked in the gem orb things, but oh well. A little information while you're watching me paint this book is that the book is actually a living plant. The book cover and the lock mechanism are alive. So you put water, carbon dioxide, and sunlight into the lock and it will open. The author of the book has no name. People just refer to them as the author. They only have one friend, and that's Death, who found them when they were little and raised them. Now we are working on the Huntress's Castle. I wanted to add a little bit of like a fog kind of look because the tree continued from the top to the bottom, but the castle is high in the mountains, so I didn't really want it to continue in the bottom part. So I added some fog to kind of help break that obvious sudden transition. And then I'm just adding some shading to the castles. That way it's not just a block of black that you can't really see. I felt like the fog was a little too boring, so I added some streaks of different shades of gray. And then I'm just adding little details to the door and clouds and tree and all that jazz. And then I'm covering up all the black parts that I messed up on the bar. And then I'm doing the windows. There's 2 windows in the Huntress's Castle. I don't know why, but I only painted the top one. And then I'm working back on the book to add the bookbinding, its bark. So just wanted to add that brown shading to it. A little bit more warmth to the leather strap because that brown was a little too cool to my liking. Then just working on this corner that's a little rough looking right now. Just adding more grass blades. Really trying to smooth out the texture so it's more like grass. Then adding the mushrooms, I decided I didn't really like the brown stems of the mushrooms, so I'm just making them like a supernaturally fantasy light bluish teal mint color. And then I decided to make them a little bit more interesting, so I added a dark blue gradient and then added a glow to be reflected on the grass. And just adding a little bit more details and shading to the book. Okay, and then this is the sides of the dresser, so I'm just showing a little bit detailed close-ups of the fireflies. You already saw me work on one. These fireflies are way bigger than the firefly that I made on the drawer. I think these fireflies are about the size of my hand. So there they are in all their beautiful glory. And then I needed to glaze the dressers. So let's go outside and enjoy this beautiful sound. I'm not sure how well the gloss worked. Because the directions said not to do this when it's cold outside. You can follow the directions on your own gloss if you choose to paint your dressers. To get an idea of how cold it was for me, here's this next clip. It snowed, and yes, I am barefoot wearing shorts and a t-shirt. And there it is in all of its beautiful finished glory. I love these dressers so much. They made me so happy. They're so colorful and vibrant, and it's just so fun to see like the fantasy world that I imagined in a huge painting, because really they are pretty big. I think my tall dresser is about the wingspan of my arms, but the short dresser is way wider than that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully next week I will have the finished painted shelf for you as well. I built it off camera and then I painted one side on camera, and then I'm going to paint the other side very soon. So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!